Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the We Believe to You Paranormal Podcast. I'm Eric.
And I'm Michelle. And today we have an episode of High Strangeness.
I know typically first of the month we do a deep dive, but as you guys had seen on our social media, our grandmother passed away, unfortunately, on May 15th. And so we decided to take a couple weeks off from recording just because, or from uploading and stuff like that, and just to give ourselves a little bit of time. So we pushed an episode that we have. It's going to be a two-parter for you guys. And we decided we didn't feel like doing a bunch of research for a deep dive, and it would be easier to just push our Stories of High Strangeness to our deep dive slot. So you'll probably get 2 Stories of High Strangeness this month. And when you're hearing this right now, guys, our grandmother's funeral was yesterday. It's we're thinking of the future, so we can only imagine how difficult that's going to be. She was a very strong woman, a very person who, never quit, who fought hard through so many illnesses, who never gave up, who fought for her family, who just wanted to be here with us. But unfortunately, after her second fall, it was a little too much for her body to handle, and some other complications, and unfortunately she passed. She'll definitely be missed. It's still pretty difficult for us to, I guess, comprehend or grasp or just believe. We feel like she's still alive and she's still here, and we're going to see her again. And then you have to remember that she's not, and it's just like it's like losing her again. But I don't know. Hopefully, I know we'll get through this. I know she wouldn't want us to be dwelling on it and crying about it all the time, as you've heard in other episodes where we've talked about her being in our dreams and how she would get upset in our dreams that we're crying. So
she straight up told me once when I visited her at the hospital and was crying, and she's just like, "Stop crying or leave." And I was like, okay, so I can like just hear her saying like, "Just stop crying." Like, why are you crying? I'm fine. But it doesn't make it any less hard to deal with.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to hear the kind of person our grandmother was and just hear her voice, I know not all of you understand Spanish, but just go listen to our Halloween special where, we had a full interview with her. I mean, it sounds kind of wrong to plug, but I know it's something that even I'm just glad we have that recording of her, because now we'll forever have, her voice and,
Her stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I will say that, not that this is easy, but I guess us believing in the paranormal and believing in afterlife, it makes it a little easier knowing that like she's not totally gone, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we can't call her up and talk to her and hear her voice and stuff, but considering she's already been in our dreams before she even passed, I can imagine that we'll see her again. So I'm just looking forward to that day.
Yeah. I have to, I guess, try and reconcile like just what's going on, and I know immediately after I was trying to, have a dream with her in it, but um, I guess by trying to do that, I feel like almost like I'm also not letting her rest. So my wife also told me just, just let it be. Like, don't hold on to that. Let it happen if it happens, because you don't want her to be, you know, uneasy or not getting, not being in peace because, you know, you're just trying to communicate with her or see her, you know.
I'll be totally honest. I don't think either of us are ready for
Probably
that.
not. Probably
I don't,
not.
and I feel like she'll know when we're ready, and that's when she'll come. But I don't think either of us are ready for that right now. So I think that's part of the reason why we haven't really had a visit yet. But I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
She knew how much we love this stuff.
Are you
So
there?
yeah,
Okay. Your video froze.
your video froze.
Okay.
No, no, literally, like it froze.
But yeah, guys. So, sorry to bring the mood down. It's just, we wanted to let you guys know why it is that we haven't, been on here for a couple of weeks, and the hardest part, I guess, for us still hasn't happened yet. By the time you hear this, it's happened, but at the time of this recording, it hasn't happened yet. So, uh, I know it's only going to get a lot more emotional for us within the next couple of days. Um, but we promise you we'll have an episode for this Wednesday
Yeah,
or
sorry.
today. I mean,
I
as
just
you're
didn't
hearing.
feel like doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, and it's understandable. I really didn't, I didn't like even want to go back to work after, the weekend that we found out. But, you know, I wasn't born rich. So,
I guess I had like some paranormal news ish kind of thing. I was gonna try and like
all right, lay it on me.
segue into it. So I mean, we've is like a complete 180 from what we were just talking about, but I don't want to be super bummed out going into these stories. So here's a little bit of news. I guess it'll be old news by the time you guys hear it, but I was pretty excited to see it. So we already know that the government has kind of talked about UFOs or UAPs being a thing, and released videos and stuff like that. But
Wops.
apparently, WAPs, WAPs.
Wops.
Ugh. No, not WAP. Anyway, but yeah, apparently President Obama was like, yeah, there's things in the sky that we don't know what they are, and UFOs/UAPs are real. And I was just like, well, if Obama's saying it, it's for sure legit. So, did you hear that? Have you heard
No,
about
I
that?
didn't.
No? Yeah. He did
Mm-mm.
an interview and he like said it.
I
So,
was
that
just,
was kind of cool.
yeah, I was, because I don't think we had mentioned it or even posted it on social media yet, but Gabe, I believe it was Gabe, who's also who gave us the topic for Duendes. Uh, he had sent us those images of those random lights in the sky, and it looked crazy, because then the funny thing is that he saw it, right, and then a few days later, somebody that I follow on social media, on Instagram and stuff like that, the owner of Optic Gaming, Hex, um, he posted the same video, like I don't know if it was like the following day or like 2 days later, something like that, and they're in Frisco. So I was like, holy crap, it's the same lights, and I was freaking out. And then so I thought it was weird, and I hadn't really thought about it. And then I saw somebody else who I follow on social media who I hadn't seen any activity on their account for a while, and I was looking at it, and it was back from May 5th, one of their old posts that said something about SpaceX. What are they called? Starlink satellites or something like that. So I was like, May 5th. And then I don't know why, but I jumped back to the DM from Gabe, and I was like, May 5th. I was like, hmm. So I was like, I wonder if this was the same thing that he might have seen. So then I Google SpaceX Starlink satellites, and yeah, like the same images. So
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, that was debunked as
Man.
yeah, as not UFO. Well, I guess UFO if you didn't know what it was, but we know what it is now. So and I think he mentioned that they had been talking. Somebody had said that, but it wasn't sure. But I think I'm pretty certain. And as soon as I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
Starlink, I was like, you know what? It looks like a bunch of stars that are kind of,
Linked together.
linked together. So I was like, this might be it. And as soon as I Googled the Starlink images, like, yeah, it was the exact same things that he had sent to us.
Yeah, I Googled it just now as you were telling me, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Man, that's a
Yeah.
bummer. I wanted
Yeah.
UFOs.
I didn't mean to kill it, right? But I thought it was interesting because it happened. I saw it a few days ago, and I was like, well, you were talking about UFOs. I know we had discussed this before, so let me bring
Yeah.
this up. So sorry
Oh,
to kill
yeah.
it for you.
Damn it. No, I saw the DM and I was like, oh, here we go. Eric always has to be rational and kill my
Hey,
mood.
man.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
No.
but I'm trying to be like everybody that's come on here, and try and debunk the things instead of jumping to conclusions right away. So
Oh, I'm the jumper. I like jumping to
yeah.
conclusions. That's the fun part.
No, and I mean, I was like, again, and I was like super stoked about it too. 'Cause I was like, holy crap, that's crazy. And I even like when Hex he put it on his stories. I like DM'd him. I was like, this is so crazy. My one of our listeners for my podcast, he said he
Hmm.
saw these same lights in California like a few days ago. I think it was in California, right? A
Yeah.
few days ago, and this and that, and I was like super like stoked about it, and I was like freaking out because like we thought it was you know
UFOs.
UFOs and stuff, and then a couple weeks later I see that it's fucking Elon Musk and shit, and I was like, oh man,
I mean, technically, he's basically an alien, so
you know,
does it count?
trying to turn Brownsville into, or that little Boca Chica area into his own little alien space town.
NASA. Yeah. Well, apparently Austin too. You just bought a whole bunch of land and a house in the neighborhood that I work in, which is interesting.
Hmm.
So that's fun.
I don't know. He should give away free Teslas.
He should just give me money. All right, guys, you ready to get into these stories?
I am
Okay,
sort of.
should it?
Yeah, I'm
Right.
good. Let's go. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Do you want me to go first,
Um,
or do you want to go first?
I can go first because this one's like really short. It's short and
Okay.
sweet. I don't know. I liked it. I saw it and I was like, yeah, we'll do this one.
All right, you go first.
So, starting our stories of high strangeness, we both pulled these off of Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, we'll give credit to the person who wrote it, and hope you like these stories, guys. First one I have here is from Condition Potential 40. They didn't put a title, but yeah, check it out. So they said happy belated birthday because the person who originally posted said it was their birthday and they wanted to hear paranormal stories. So it starts, happy belated birthday. I was 12 and had just moved into a new townhouse with my mom and my two siblings. My mom went to go get the keys from the leasing office. My sibs and I stayed by the car. I went up to the front door. I was playing with ringing the doorbell. I was playing with it by ringing the doorbell and knocking nonstop. I wasn't expecting anyone to complain since no one was home, but the door suddenly opened slowly. I stopped playing. I look up and see a very unhappy looking old man with many wrinkles deep set in his face. He wore an outfit similar to Mr. Rogers. He looked down at me and said nothing. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody lived here. He then slowly closes the door. My mom returns minutes later. I run up to her freaking out and tell her, Mama, 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 Then telling her what happened, she looked nervous. We kids all followed behind her as she unlocks the door. The townhouse was empty. Pause, because apparently I didn't grab the whole story. Oh no, that was it.
No.
Yeah, I apparently it was a lot shorter than I thought. I think somebody asked them if they had any more experiences in the house, and they said no. That was the only experience that they had had.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was crazy because, like, you know, you're like you're a little kid waiting for your mom to come back with the keys for your house, like brand new house that you're about to, or townhouse that you're about to live in. You know, you haven't even moved in yet, and the first experience you have with a house is this creepy old Mr. Rogers looking man, like opening the door and, you know, just like looking at you to like shut up, you know.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I know we've had a couple of stories like that where people are like moving into a place or just moving into a place and see something, and I'm like, that's gotta suck to be like, all right, gung ho, like let's do this. I'm gonna live in this new house, and it's like it's haunted.
Yeah,
Day one, like, figure that out. Like that's gotta suck, and you got to live with that.
I mean, the good
But
thing is, what were
yeah,
you
I
gonna
think we're
say?
gonna say the same thing. Yeah, I mean, but I guess you didn't have any other experiences, so
Yeah,
it's fine. But
I was gonna, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I guess it's a good thing they didn't have any more experiences. So I guess if you are moving into a new house and you do happen to have an experience, I guess move in anyway, because maybe it's just a one time deal. You know,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I honestly don't think I'd be able to, but yeah, my hats off to them for. I mean, maybe they didn't have any other choice either. So
Yeah,
you
I
know,
feel like that's usually the case. So yeah,
yeah, maybe Mr. Rogers was just like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to live with this annoying ass kid now.
yeah, probably. All right.
Alrighty.
So my story has to do with doppelgangers, and it's by American Raider 76.
I also
Is
have a
it
doppelganger story.
is it called doppelganger or is it lost time that I have been experiencing?
No, it's not.
Okay, good. So actually, before we're doing something a little bit different. Usually, I would pull all the stories and then we'd go one for one. But I would already know all the stories, so it wasn't surprising to me. And like the reactions, I don't know, weren't quite there, I guess. So this time around, Eric found his stories and I found mine. So we have absolutely no idea what either of us are going to be reading.
Yeah, I also felt bad that she was pulling all the stories.
Well, I'm glad that we didn't pull the same one, but apparently doppelgangers are going to be a theme today. All right, so this one says, back in 2016, I was working at this factory job where we weren't allowed to carry our phones with us. My usual time that I got was around 4 due to me having to go to college classes at 4:30. But on this day, an incident happened at work where I had to stay over for about 30 minutes. So by the time that I had gotten to my car, I saw that I had 3 missed calls from my girlfriend at the time, and fearing the worst, I immediately called back. She picked up the phone immediately and she told me why I didn't acknowledge her when I was driving by her on my way to school. I was puzzled by this because, well, for starters, I barely got into my car at work and I haven't even started the car yet. I asked her if she knew if it was me for sure. She gave me a response as if I called her a liar, and she couldn't believe me that I would ever say that. She continued to say that of course it was me because I was driving down the street next to her in my very distinguishable car, a Cutlass Oldsmobile, and of course I myself am a very recognizable person with my nerdy glasses and the work clothes that I was in. When she told me this, I immediately sent her a photo of myself with my job in the background, and once she received it, she got really quiet and she said in a very shocked, low tone, "But I swore that was you." I didn't know what I didn't know what to make of this because even her little brother said that it was me driving next to her. She did mention that, quote unquote, I was sitting down in a very unusual stiff way and with my arms gripped onto the steering wheel very tightly, and that I had a strange, uncomfortable look on my face, and I looked white as if I was sick or scared half to death. A few days had passed, and I drove to work at 6 a.m., my usual start time. The sun wasn't up yet, and everything was still dark. Well, once I clocked into work, my two coworkers slash friends came up to me and said, "Hey, what the heck was that all about earlier?" I didn't know what was going on and asked what they meant. Well, my friend said that when they got to work at 4:45, they parked their cars and got off. Then they saw me drive into the parking lot in my recognizable car. Before either of them could say hi to me, I immediately ran from my car as if I was being chased by someone. They kept on calling my name, but I was already long gone running down the alley of another factory. The two of them were left clueless and they continued to walk to our building. The story left me breathless as I didn't know what to even respond with except saying, "Are you sure it was me? Because I barely left my house about 20 minutes ago and I just got here to work right now." They both swore that it was me and they said it in a very truthful tone. In this case, is this a case of a doppelganger that I have? A glitch in the matrix? A clone? Me having cases of lost time? Me going crazy? Who knows?
I'm sorry, but when I just pictured him like getting out of the car and like somebody calling his name and him just like, running away. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
but that's crazy because when they're all stiff and stuff. Like I imagine uh, like say he was like a time traveler type of thing. Like he
Hmm.
traveled back in time to that like was that time or that moment, I guess. And he's in the car, and then like he like pulls up next to his girlfriend, and he's like, "Holy shit, dude, she's not supposed to see me." And like he's
Yeah.
just like really stiff, and that's why like he's
Yeah.
in that state. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's like kind of what I imagined. I mean,
Yeah,
whether
no,
that's the
that makes
case or not,
sense.
like I don't know, but
That makes sense. Yeah, I had seen another uh doppelganger experience, I guess, like someone had commented
mm-hmm.
about she saw herself though. Like she saw her own doppelganger driving next to her, and she followed her all the way to like her dentist appointment or something, and then like parked right next to her. And then when she looked over, the doppelganger looked at her, like looked super freaked out, like she'd just seen a ghost, like locked the doors and peeled out and just like took off. And I was
Oh,
like,
fuck, I was like, your dentist
yeah,
appointment.
yeah, but I'm like wondering, it's like, did she freak out because she saw herself and it freaked her out, or did she freak out because, like you said, because she wasn't supposed to be seen and she
Mm-hmm.
got seen, so she's like, "Holy shit!" and then like took off. Maybe that's why he ran away from the car too. Like nobody was supposed
Yeah,
to see him. I don't know. It's weird.
fucking doppelganger, like just messing stuff up, like time traveler, I guess in this case, messing stuff up, not trying, like not supposed to be seen, and he's getting seen all over the place. God,
Yeah.
worst time traveler ever. Um, but yeah, so now it's my turn to tell my doppelganger story. Well, not
Let's.
my doppelganger story, but he Mew Lu's doppelganger story. They write titled "Creepy Story About Seeing My Dad's Doppelganger," and this was pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. At least it was for somebody in here. All right, so this happened when I was 8 years old. I saw my dad in the bathroom wiping himself after shower. So when they said this wiping, I was like, dude, privacy?
Why?
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Seriously.
I guess they meant they're like, drying themselves, like drying himself
Even
off after a
even
shower.
still though,
Well,
like
true.
privacy.
Well, and then I guess at this point, it's like dad needs to learn to close the door.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, continuing. But the problem is that he was supposed to be in the office at the time. So I asked him, "Dad, when did you come home?" He didn't say anything. I asked again, and he closed the door to the bathroom on my face. I didn't think much of it. 20 minutes later, mom gave me and my little bro lunch. So we three people, mom, me, and my little bro, sat to eat lunch. I asked mom, "Why aren't we waiting for dad?" She laughed and said, "Why would we? He's gonna come home and he's gonna come at night." I told her, "But dad's home." We searched the entire house but couldn't find him. Creepy, right? After eating, me and little bro fell asleep. Mom stayed awake to watch TV. I woke to mom's screams. I rushed to look for her, found her before the bathroom door. She hugged me and couldn't talk. I looked at the bathroom. It was empty. I asked mom what happened. She said she saw dad. Dad was there. But why would he appear out of nowhere? When did he come? And she said she saw something that looked like dad, but he had a horribly creepy face. So she screamed. And in no time, I was there, and that thing disappeared. Later, dad came at night and we told him everything. I don't remember what we did after that, but we moved out. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, it was really choppy because like of all the punctuation. It was just like constant periods and stuff like that. I should have fixed it for myself. But anyway, yeah, that I like I think like if I would have seen him like she saw like the shower like he was wiping himself down, he was like drying himself off or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been fine. But like I want to say that I've heard that too, like about doppelgangers is like
There's something off about him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can just imagine like the mom all of a sudden, and it's weird that it was in the bathroom both times.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, just you can imagine like him appearing out of nowhere, and then like I like the way I picture it again. I'm gonna make this like the worst possible thing ever, but the way I picture it is like she was going into the restroom, and like he's like standing there, like facing the, you know, with his back to her, right? And then all of a sudden she gets close to him and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And then like he just turns around and like you just see like this creepy ass face.
Version
Yeah.
of
Like that's
it
what I
has been
imagine.
supposed to.
Like that would freak me the F out, man.
Yeah, I would scream too, for sure. Yeah, it's creepy.
This is definitely not a case of a time traveler.
No. And maybe that's something that we can actually deep dive is doppelgangers.
We need to make a list, man.
We do. We should. For sure. Well, my next one is not doppelganger related, but it is My Encounter with Grey Lady by Eric Art Blair. So, my story, July 2006 in England. Every year, my best friend and I go away for the night of ghost hunting. Ostensible, it's an excuse to get away from our respective kids and spouses, but on one trip, we were really scared. We'd done our research and headed to Oxney Bottom on Deal/Dover Road in Kent. Obviously, guys, by the way, this is in England, so if there's certain words in there, um, we grabbed a pint and a pie from our local pub and discussed our route. Whether it's obvious by our equipment or because we were clearly down from London. Sorry, my friend is black and rural England is mostly entirely white. The barman suddenly asked if we'd, quote unquote, come to see the ghost. We cautiously answered in the affirmative. Suddenly, the otherwise quiet locals who had been eavesdropping all descended on us and tried to tell us their stories about the famous Grey Lady. Most tales were secondhand. The only story I remember was from a middle-aged man who told us that as a teenager, he's fastened a washing line across the road, and every time a car came by, he'd pull a bed sheet from one side to the other. He had it would freak me out. It's pretty genius. He had thought this was hilarious until the local police, who have been inundated with terrified drivers, cautioned him and sent him home.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
and yeah, I feel like that could be like super dangerous too. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously,
Imagine
but
like you don't pull that thing across in time, or like you like it gets caught on the person's like windshield or something, and then they end up crashing.
yeah. I mean, pretty dangerous. All right.
That was pretty hilarious,
So,
though.
yeah, right. So, in good humor, we set off on a lovely summer's evening down the road. We sat in some woods chatting and not taking the whole thing particularly seriously. After a few hours, we decided to head back to the campsite. But before we did, we thought we'd just wander up a gravel road off the main highway. At that time of the year in England, night falls quite late. There was still some light in the sky, but beneath the trees it was dark. That's when I saw something. I can only describe it as a white, roughly human-sized column of a cloud. The weird thing was I didn't feel at all scared. I was thinking there was grease on my contact lenses, but no matter how much I blinked, the shape did not go away.
Is that a thing?
Grease in the contact lenses. I know this is not the paranormal part we should be focusing on, but I've never heard of that before.
Like, unless this is like really old and the contact lenses are actually, because I think they used to give you like hard contact lenses, but that's the only way I can think of having grease. I mean, I've only
No, this
worn
is
contact.
2006.
I wore contact lenses around that time, and if to play paintball, and I never remember getting grease on my glasses. Yeah, sure, but on
Yeah,
my contact lenses, you've
they're
worn
weird.
contact lenses like way longer than I have.
I've never. I mean, granted, yeah, like I've definitely had like little spots that, but it's usually like calcium deposits or lint or stuff like that. It's not really.
Do you not take your glasses calcium deposits?
Yeah, man. Do you remember? I was really bad with my contacts. I used to sleep with my contacts like all the time.
Jesus.
I don't do that now, but yeah, it used to be pretty bad. All right, back on track.
Judgmental.
Like grease, I only had calcium deposits. What?
Yeah, dude, that's not better.
This was in the past. I was a
Jesus
teenager.
Christ.
All
Okay,
right.
continue.
Like to live a little recklessly.
Yeah.
Because who needs eyesight, right? Where was I? The shape did not go. Okay.
Calcium.
Can you?
Smudges, grease
Yeah.
smudges on the contact lenses.
Okay. Can you see that? I asked, turning to my friend who was looking behind. What? He asked, but looked forward again. I could see nothing.
It just must be the grease smudges on your contact lenses again.
Right? Yeah. Oh my god. So we continued walking, and lo and behold, I can see the cloud again. Sorry. And lo and behold, I can see the cloud again. I can- okay, sorry. It was about 20 meters in front of us, not coming towards us directly, but at something of an oblique angle. Our paths crossing. Again, I was not scared as I was thinking there's definitely dirt on my contact lenses. Okay, see, that's legit,
Yeah.
but
Dirt,
grease.
I can understand because I use them for paintball, so I've had like shit get in my eye.
Yeah,
So that I get, but
for sure.
grease, like
Yeah.
a grease smudge, like, I don't know, dude.
Okay. At this point, my friend shouts, "What the fuck is that?" And now I'm scared because I know something is really there. I turned on the huge flashlight we'd bought for the mission, but my friend said, "Turn it off, turn it off." So I did, only to find our night vision ruined. There is no light in the sky, just suffocating darkness. All I remember is hearing my friend breathing heavily. Eventually, our eyes adapted and we debated going back to the camp or continuing. My friend argued that no matter how scary, this is what we had come for and we should carry on. Reluctantly, I agreed. We reached the top of the hill where we met three very real humans, one man and two women. We told them our story and we told them our story and asked them why they were in the woods at night. They described themselves as paranormal investigators. I thought they were a bit weird as they did certain spiritual cleansing rituals. We wished them luck in their investigations and walked back to our campsite about 2 miles away. We felt very nervous at every dark spiny, but nothing happened on the walk home. Some weird things happened to my friend that night, but since I slept through it, and since this story is longer than I was expecting it to be, I'll stop here. So, what was it? I come from a scientific background, so I can explain it to myself as marsh mist that happened to be in a human shape twice. I don't know. I can only say that despite my skepticism on ghosts, I was genuinely scared.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see marsh mist. Not sure what that is, but I imagine it's like a mist or like a fog that goes over a marsh that
Yeah,
forms,
well,
or close to it, close to one.
yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that being a thing, but it's like when it's human form.
Yeah.
Granted, I know like us humans are like our brains want to see faces and stuff like that in anything, or we
Parad-
look
pareidolia,
pareidolia,
pareidolia, pareidolia,
something like
something like
that,
that.
that thing. So I wonder if if that had anything to do with it, or I mean, I know swamp gas is a thing, and people confuse that with UFOs. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I,
that could be.
I still feel like there was another thing that they used to say, like on Ghost Hunters.
You're still with that. You can't let
Yeah.
that one go.
No.
I'm
Every
sure it'll
time,
come to you.
every time I see the word or I think of the word, like I'm like, dude, what was it, man? Like I can't. Like I literally want to go back and watch all old episodes of Ghost Hunters just until I hear that phrase or what they used to call it.
Do it.
We're gonna have to try and keep it together on this one.
Uh-oh.
So this one is from Fired Up Chili, or Fired Up Chile is how you should pronounce it, but Fired Up Chili.
Or is it child? Just kidding.
Probably not, but sure, it could be. Yeah, so this one's titled "My son met his deceased grandfather at the hospital."
Why would you pick this?
Exactly. So, first Reddit post ever, so please bear with me. My son was born with a single heart ventricle and needed 3 open heart surgeries before the age of 5 to survive. After my son's 3rd heart surgery, he developed an extremely rare complication that could only be resolved with a heart transplant. We lived in the hospital for almost 3 months while he was on the transplant list. I can honestly say that those were the worst 3 months of my life, seeing my son suffer and not knowing if he'd be okay. It was absolute torture. During the course of waiting, the complication was unexpectedly resolved and he no longer needed the heart transplant. Believe me when I say that it was nothing short of a miracle. No one could have predicted that he wouldn't need the transplant. Fast forward to a couple of months after we finally came home. I was going through some boxes that had my husband's old family pictures in it, including some pictures of my son's grandfather, my father-in-law. My father-in-law died 16 years before my son was born, so my son had never met him. We didn't have any pictures of him in our house at that time either. At some point, my son sat next to me at the kitchen table to see what I was doing. We came across a picture of my father-in-law, and my son said, "Oh, hey, I know that guy." I said, "You don't know him, buddy. You never met him. He died a long time ago before you were born." My son had a very serious expression on his face and said, "Yes, I did, Mommy. I know him. That's Bill. He used to sit next to me every night at the hospital and watch me. I think he was a doctor or something." My father-in-law's name was Bill. My son didn't know that. I don't know what to make of this, but I feel like the idea of my son's grandfather watching over him during the scariest time of our lives, which was resolved through a legitimate miracle. My son is 13 now, and I like to think he was a guardian angel watching over him.
Well, I mean, 100%. We always have like our ancestors, whether we knew who they were or not, around us, and can sometimes be our guides and whatnot. And Shannon, who was in a previous episode of ours, actually left a comment, and she's like, "Now you have the world's most badass guardian angel looking after you." And I was just like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I I just like, I don't know. I hope if we ever have kids one day, like I would almost want them to, see her and like just feel comfort and not be afraid or anything like that, just to so that they can meet her, because I know she was always very wanting us to have kids and, wanting to meet her great grandchildren and stuff like that. And unfortunately that, that wasn't able to happen, but yeah.
I mean, she'll see them.
Yeah.
They'll know her from the stories that we tell them too.
Mm-hmm.
So, person isn't gone unless they're
You
forgotten.
forget them. Yeah.
So, I'm super excited to read this one. It's actually from one of our previous guests, Craig. So he wrote in, submitted one of his stories, and the subject is more fucking aliens. And
man.
he put a whole bunch of like symbols for the fucking, but that's what he meant. Anyway, so his story goes.
Maybe he meant flipping, and you're just thinking that he meant fucking.
Sure. So a few weeks back, I was visiting my cousin-in-law who is fighting cancer. She is also a very talented psychic medium too. She was telling me about the very last episode of the show, The Dead Files, which is on Discovery Channel. If you're not familiar with the show, it's like this. A private detective and psychic work interdependently of each other, investigating haunted houses. I guess you meant to say after. After the investigations, they compare notes. Now, on the last episode, the psychic was picking up on a bad spirit and an ET alien who was taking the girl. So I went back and watched the episode. Sort of scary, but I'm jaded, as you already know. The night after we spoke, before I watched the episode, I had a fucked up scary dream. It went like this. I was in a dark space, grabbing and trying to manipulate a very pregnant cow. The bizarre thing was that it had human-like breasts, which were swollen and red. The next thing I know, I'm pulled into my family room and standing in front of a stainless steel laboratory table. I look up the stairs, and our bed is now 2 stainless steel lab tables, too. As I'm looking at this, I try to figure it out in the dream. 2 chalky white ETs come out from the office. I was terrified. The messed up part was that I couldn't watch Discovery Channel that night. It wasn't working for some unknown reason. Ahem. The point they were trying to make was that what we do to animals is no different than what they do to us. Agree or disagree? I guess they have a point. Craig. So, I mean, yeah, it's true. That's why when people are like, why are they abducting us? I'm like, same shit that we do to all these animals that we're trying to figure them out and test them and study them. I think it's just the exact same thing.
We're
Thoughts?
animals.
We are animals. The higher intelligence is just like, boop, let me pick you up, see what's going on, impregnate you, try to make alien human hybrid. Yeah, whatever.
Babies.
We do
Yeah.
that.
We haven't tried to make human animal hybrids, okay?
That you know of.
True.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty creepy. I mean, I very much believe that dreams are can sometimes be experiences, and they're not always just dreams. So, I mean, that was a nice little lesson. I'm sure it was scary as hell.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Luckily,
can't-
have not. What?
I was gonna say I can't imagine just like having constant communication with like aliens. I don't know. I feel like it would freak me out. But like you said, he's jaded. It's something that he's experienced his entire life, basically.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I luckily haven't had. Have I? Actually, I did. I did have a recent alien, but it was weird. We were actually trying to record a podcast. It was me and you. And someone's like, "Oh, you should go to like such and such research center. They have a whole bunch of aliens like in there." And we're like, "Okay," but they're like hidden away. We weren't supposed to be able to see them. And we got there, and there's just like, yeah, essentially like prisoner aliens just held captive, and they're like, "Help us!" And I was like, "Oh, so sorry. I don't
no,
even know what
no,
I'm
thank
doing
you.
here." Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, thank you.
Yeah, you stay there. But yeah, haven't had anything crazy.
Dude,
Luckily.
you started talking, you started saying it, and I was like, oh, somebody listened to the podcast and like told you to go check this place out. I was like, what the hell?
Oh no. It was weird that like in my dream. It was like, I don't know. I guess we had met somebody and we were trying to record a podcast, so we were going to this site, like recording like a live podcast, kind of, as we were out and about. And I guess we were going to interview somebody, but yeah, when we're at this, it's like an Area 51 kind of situation. There was just like aliens all locked up, and it was weird. But
It was the Men in Black, dude. They were capturing all the
Probably.
aliens.
probably, if you are a Men in Black and you want to be on this show, go ahead and reach out to us. Just kidding.
Yeah, they would probably
Please
do
don't, because
the
they're
little.
scary.
They would probably do the whole.
Pew.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
All right, guys. Well, those are our stories of high strangeness for this month. Like I said, we'll probably have another one at the end of the month.
Next week and the following week's episodes, they're going to be a 2-parter. And this was a very, very fun interview for all of us, but I guess for me, because it was Well, you'll see. Right?
It was fun for me too, especially the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, all that's going to get cut because nobody needs to hear us talking about podcasting.
Well, the whole thing. Well, I was just really excited to meet this person because of who they've worked with. Definitely listen to that episode so you can check him out later. As far as the stories that we just listened to today, yeah, the doppelganger stories were crazy. I've always wondered like if we have doppelgangers out there somewhere,
I mean,
or
I'm sure we
like,
do.
you know,
Because supposedly it's also like a scientifically proven thing that we all have doppelgangers in the sense that somebody who just looks a lot like us.
mm-hmm.
But then I feel like there's a paranormal doppelgangers where it's like you're not supposed to have seen this doppelganger, or they're pretending to be you, but there's some sort of like evil spirit, kind of like how the dad had this weird face or wasn't actually him. So if you have doppelganger stories and you want to share them, either writing them in or be on the podcast, it would be super awesome to hear.
Yeah, love to hear that. What was the first one we talked about? Oh yeah, and again, it seems to be a theme: people moving into their apartments or their houses for the first time and having paranormal experiences. Like, I just definitely feel like I would definitely want to say just like, nah, it's a no-go for me there, chief.
Yeah.
But again, if you're in that situation, I'm pretty sure it's not like you can. I mean, unless you're like uber rich, just be like, you know what? I don't want this house
Never
after
mind.
all.
Yeah.
But if you do want to share your stories like Craig did, you can go on our website and definitely check out the contact area and send us in your stories. Or if you want to be interviewed, you can tell us there, hey, you know what? I got this story and I'm really excited to share it with you guys because you all are amazing and we love your podcast.
Oh my gosh.
But
Exactly like that, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
like
how you
that.
have to say it.
Gas us up, like, because,
or we won't even look at it.
Yeah,
we don't want to hear it.
And if you do love the podcast and you do actually believe those things, you could also go to Apple Podcast and leave a review, give us 5 stars. That helps us appear more to people. Also, to go do that on Spotify because that also helps us show up. It's awesome being able to just go into these different places and start typing in your name and it like automatically pops up.
Nice.
Yeah. And on our social medias, guys, you can go to webelievedyou.com to try and get in contact with us and send us your stories. You can also find all of our social medias and all the links to where our podcast is produced, played. And what else can we find on there? Merch. If you guys want to buy some merch, t-shirts, mugs, caps, stickers, it's all on there. Go on all our social medias, like, comment, share, help us get out to more people. We'd really appreciate it because we believe.
Do you?